Reflecting on week 5, what what a remarkable and thoughtful discussion. Um, I appreciate the extent to which you all were reflective and also generous in sharing your insights and your stories about your own um, family and community perspectives with regard to mental illness. Um, uh, you made so many interesting points, um, um, and they're just little snippets that I won't soon forget, like um, Amy's roommate, your roommate Amy, whose depression was deafening, even though she was silent and withdrawn. Um, uh, it is very important that we become educators, as you pointed out so well. Um, Often people are not willfully mean or ignorant, just uninformed about mental illness, and that's one of our roles as advocates, to inform people. Um, Another thing that occurred to me was how easy it is to get used to imposing our own worldviews on other people, um, even when we're not at all aware that that's what we're doing. And that's actually what occurs every time there is a model or a template that is appropriate for the socio-historical context in which it arose, but not appropriate to the people to whom it's applied. That's also true of every element of the care we provide, including the the um, the physical design. There are some physical spaces that um, some people feel comfortable in and others don't, where they don't find themselves reflected at all. Um, and so it's important to pay attention to every element, from the physical space um, to the location of working with someone, um, uh, to all those small things that add up to whether a person feels um, welcome uh, and listened to or not. Um, yes, as you said, Stanton, it is very odd in a culture that values um, individuality, that we have so little tolerance for people who seem out of the ordinary. So it reminds me a little bit of teenagers who are all wearing exactly the same clothes, each thinking that he or she is um, wearing those clothes because they want to be an individual. Um, uh, in a way, it seems that our whole society um, is in the process of doing that. Somebody, actually several people, mentioned the unresolved grief that many Europeans must be experiencing, that and it must be transgenerational in many European families. And when you think of it, um, uh, what would it take to leave everyone and everything you know, and the place where you feel you belong, and embark on a treacherous journey across an ocean that you may or may not survive, and then to somehow eke out a living, and then to participate in um, in a century of actually several centuries of genocide and slaveholding. It is hard to fathom that someone, some culture, some society could actually go through that process without a tremendous amount of unresolved shame and guilt. Just as the family secrets that involve crimes of abuse and neglect, the family secrets become more and more toxic the longer that the secret is maintained. Still, so long after these crimes began and after these losses began, there is really very little acknowledgement and very little investment in the healing process, and this kind of mass delusion that genocide never took place, and that it was just fine when everyone arrived on the shores of the United States and just instantly became Americans. So that is a story that is relevant to people's perception of deviance, because if there is so much unresolved shame and grief, one could see how prejudice could emerge against anyone who might be perceived to be bringing more shame or more grief. So it's interesting. And your conversation in general was just very thoughtful and very rich. And your discussion of how people come to make the decision to let other people know that they're struggling with mental health issues. It struck me that there is a similarity between that process and the coming out process. And it has the same sort of cost-benefit issues associated with it. What's the cost of living in secrecy versus the cost of things you might lose if you come out? What's the benefit of coming out versus the benefits of continuing to live in secrecy? Interesting things to consider, and I feel honored to be witnessing your conversations. They are quite remarkable.